How a London newspaper botched a New York political story. As the New York City mayor's race entered its home stretch this week, a reporter from the Times of London, which is the fancy way of just saying the Times, because there's the New York Times. So anyway, Bevan Hurley sent an email to Bill de Blasio. He wanted to know what the former mayor of New York City thought about the upcoming race. He received an incredible response. While de Blasio has supported Democrat Zoran Mamdani, campaign, the former mayor confessed in an email to the New Zealand-born journalist that he admired Mamdani's ambition. The Democratic nominee was making dangerously, quote-unquote, optimistic assumptions about how much money new taxes would bring in. Quote, "In my view, the math doesn't hold up under scrutiny and the political hurdles are substantial," unquote, de Blasio wrote. Okay, that seems pretty damning.
Well, given that Bill de Blasio has been tweeting out very fervently in support of Zoran Mamdani, he was one of the earliest kind of endorsers from the kind of not necessarily mainstream wing of the Democratic Party, because he's not necessarily from the mainstream wing. He ran a very similar campaign to Mamdani. Talk about like a tale of two New Yorks, one for the rich and one for working class people. It was a similar kind of vibe, I guess, but with not quite as radical policies, you know. But he has been very pro Mamdani throughout his endorsement, so this would be a turnout for the books.
This really would be. Yeah, I can only assume he did, because the Times of London, the Times was literally known as the paper of record. So I assume
it is indeed.
I assume that they would not lie about anything because, you know, they've been taken over by the Murdoch press or anything. That'd be crazy talk. The Times, part of the Murdoch family's News Corps empire, which has been waging a broad campaign against the Democratic Socialist candidate. I think you mean communist!
According to our esteemed president, Donald J. Trump.
And indeed the funniest man to ever run for any office ever, Kurt Slewa.
I fucking love Kurt Slewa. He's awful. He should never have been in any elected office, right? But I need to tell you, give him like some kind of job with cats.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, I said he's like the opposite of an oracle. We need to keep him, like, just in a public place, and you can go to him and find out the exact wrong thing about any topic. Just go and just ask him about anything, and he'll just say something crazy and wrong. Brilliant.
Preceded by, "I was shot 5 times in the back of a taxi."
Or I'm on the subway every day. Yeah, we know, mate. For fuck's sake. You've literally got a tan line from wearing a beret every day of your life. You're a mentalist.
Although he did deliver the greatest line of the mayoral election, which was that Andrew Cuomo is damaged goods. Eric Adams is damaged goods, and Andrew Cuomo is a creep. He's slapping fannies and killing grannies.
That's on the soundboard. Yes.
Incredible.
Absolute belter. Anyway. I forgot. Oh, yeah, sorry. Democratic Socialist candidate rushed to print with the explosive story that the former mayor had broken with his would-be successor. Its sister publication, the New York Post, quickly aggregated and amplified it. Melissa DeRosa, a top aide to Mamdani's opponent, former New York mayor and obvious sex creep, I've added that bit, but you know, Andrew Cuomo, weighed in to amplify the story. The only problem...
It is funny here. It is funny here that they are calling the New York Post a sister publication when anyone who's interacted with the New York Post for more than 5 minutes knows that it is literally just tabloid guff, right? Like, the sister publication of the New York Post in the UK is The Sun. Like, that is the real sister publication, but in reality...
Which, to be fair, is also part of the same media conglomeration of evil. Yeah.
Well, exactly, 100%. It's all Murdoch shit at the end of the day. But the Times of London, basically at this point, is just The Sun, but for Oxbridge graduates.
Yes.
It's just fucking lowest common denominator, Westminster slop.
Yes.
Basically. Anti-left bashing nonsense thing. Yeah. But for the posh people read. Like, it's no different to The Sun in terms of its actual content.
Yes. The only problem, question mark, the email had not come from the former mayor at all. Well, that seems like a bit of a problem. De Blasio responded with shock, demanding the Times retract the story. Quote, "It is an absolute violation of journalistic ethics. The truth is I fully support @Zoran K. Mamdani and believe his vision is both necessary and achievable," unquote. Are you suggesting that someone would lie in a newspaper, Mr. de Blasio? It's an outrageous accusation.
A scurrilous accusation. Although, to be fair, it is kind of funny that you make up a quote and it's damning on your political career as a journalist, right? But Boris Johnson invented a quote when he worked for the newspapers and then became prime minister. So hardly unbefitting of somebody of high office in this country.
Oh, true. The former mayor marvelled via text message to Semaphore, which is the paper we're reading right now, that he'd never had this experience in 25 years of public life. Really? Is it as bad as that? So how did the Times, a pillar of quality British journalism since the 18th century, blow the story so badly?
Well, time out, home slice. Top pillar of quality British journalism between the 18th century and the 1980s, I think you'll find.
Yeah, until Murdoch bought it, and then it became, like I say, it went from being the paper of record to the paper of I wouldn't wipe my arse with it.
Yeah, it just became slop. It literally is just slop nowadays.
Yeah. Part of the push came from the top. Oh, well, I am surprised. Who'd have thunk it? It's not like literally every single one of his papers always has exactly the same opinion about every topic ever.
Well, if you want to look at a specific newspaper in this country that is kind of the epicenter of neoliberal groupthink, the Times really is it.
Yes, basically. As the New York mayor's race approaches, the Times of London has accelerated its push for more and largely hostile coverage of Mamdani. That campaign has been driven internally by Margie Conklin, which is a lovely name for probably an awful person, a New York Post veteran who was most recently managing editor at the Free Press, that particularly unaugust tome, and who assigned the de Blasio piece per two people with knowledge of the situation.
So the Free Press, for people who don't know, is an outlet from Barry Weiss that has basically no viewers or people who read it at all. And all it basically is a Zionist front organization to push pro-Israeli narratives, right? And you can tell that the Zionists are all over it because CBS bought the Free Press and gave Barry Weiss a giant fucking contract, despite the fact that there would be no reason to do so because no one fucking reads it. Literally nobody does.
Yeah, well, I have to scoff at the fucking Lib Dem leader. What's his name again?
Ed Davey.
Ed Davey. Such a pointless person. Anyway, going on about we need a full investigation into Russian interference in British politics. And I'm like, motherfucker, you're all paid by Israel. You're all like, as if Russian interference is the thing you need to fucking look at. Jesus Christ. Anyway. 3 people familiar with the situation told Semaphore that Hurley reached out to an email address the reporter believed belonged to the former mayor of New York. It's unclear where she got the address or who it actually belongs to. So it's just some random person's email address. Did I send the email? I might have done. I don't know.
High quality journalism from the Times of London, the paper of record.
Fantastic work. Well done, lads. In a statement shared with outlets including Semaphore, a News UK spokesperson blamed the debacle on whoever that email address belongs to.
No. You can't blame us for innocently emailing some random email that no one knows where it came from and just assumed that it was former New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio.
Yeah, that's amazing. So no journalist has ever made a mistake because it's always the person that they made the mistake about that actually made the mistake. Boom.
One, Bill de Blasio had forethought to tell them that this email address that they had found wasn't his email address.
Exactly.
Before asking their opinion on the New York City mayoral.
Well, you think it's the job of a journalist to check any of this information? Are you mental? You would besmirch the Fourth Estate in this way. Exactly. Yeah. Checking email addresses, that's what DEI does.
I'm sure that finds. I mean, ironically, the UK press at this point is just DEI for Zionists.
That's so true. Oh my god. Yeah, literally. Anyway, belongs to. Saying the paper had, quote, apologised to Bill de Blasio and removed the article immediately after discovering that our reporter had been misled by an individual falsely claiming to be the former New York mayor.
Usually someone just turned up and said that they were Bill de Blasio, and I just believed them.
Again,
What you imagine? You forget you get pilloried for basic mistakes nowadays.
unbelievable. You would expect a journalist to cover any of these bases at all. No, he said he was the mayor of New York, so I went, yeah, of course you are. Why would anyone lie about anything, ever? You know when someone says they've got your nose, they might not be entirely honest, my friend. I'm just saying. Semaphore reached out to a Gmail address our sources believe to be the one used by the Times. Quote, "You are correct. It was me, the real Bill de Blasio."
Honestly, you know what? I know that they're probably anti-Mamdani, which is why they posted the thing to the Times. But you know what? Slay.
That's
incredible.
That is, honestly, that person needs to carry their balls around in a fucking wheelbarrow, frankly. Clearly. That's amazing. Amazing trolling work. The person who controls the email address responded. The person didn't respond to further questions. Well, he's busy. It's Bill de Blasio. He's got shit to do. He can't be fucking responding to you all the while. Jesus. The person didn't respond to further questions, and the phone calls to 2 numbers associated with the email address went unanswered. Conklin and Hurley didn't respond to inquiries.
Would you like to make a statement about the fact that you're shit at your job?
No, I'm good.
Also, just want to say before we move on, thank you to A Difficult Truth for raiding in. Welcome in.
Nice.
Everyone go and follow A Difficult Truth on Twitch and on YouTube. It is at A Difficult Truth on both platforms. It is highly recommended that you do so.
Indeed. The Times is hardly alone in its hunger for Mamdani content. Always a source of off-year political fascination, the New York mayor's race has nonetheless attracted a huge amount of national and global attention. Mamdani, Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa (brackets certified mentalist) close brackets. I've editorialised, but it's basically there. Have all made multiple appearances across major national and news media outlets. Cuomo has appeared on Fox News and in right-leaning media outlets, hoping to peel away supporters from Sliwa, while Mamdani has given interviews seemingly nearly once a week to the New York Times, as he hopes to lock up support among the city's Democratic voters. The Times has already had a bad week. On Monday, it deleted a story claiming that the British Treasury Secretary had spent taxpayers' money lavishly on an office decor at a time when the country is hotly debating austerity measures. I missed that story as well.
Me too.
But New York's media political circus is a particularly unforgiving place. The Times' error immediately garnered write-ups in the Washington Post, the New York Times, New York Magazine and other outlets, as British publications continue to look towards expansion in the US and try to muscle in on turf long occupied by the aggressive New York press corps. They may find American media competitors to be more than happy to point out their errors.
I do think it is interesting to notice here that the New York Times, New York Magazine, the Washington Post, all immediately castigated the Times for their failure here. The UK press, radio silence.
Absolute
Total
silence.
radio silence, right? Because again, it's a closed shop. It is all one big club. They all end up at the Spectator Garden Party. They've all been to the same private schools. They've all been to the same Oxbridge colleges, right? They all know each other. They're all potentially fucking each other as well. And so even though they're supposed to be like ideological adversaries in some cases, they don't ever call out the fact that the entire kind of press rogues gallery in this country is a crock of shit. I mean, it takes something to be worse than the American press.
That is pretty special, yeah. But thankfully, Conklin and Hurley lost all of their money when a Nigerian prince emailed them. And they went, oh, well, that is definitely true. He says he's a Nigerian prince. I believe him.
I mean, I got a very, very, very sincere call from a man called George Agdogdogwingo from Uganda, who said that there was a pigeon in my bank account, and to be able to rescue the pigeon so that it didn't die, he would need my account number and sort code. You know what? I just gave it over, you know?
Well, it's like the other day, that wallet inspector. He did a very thorough job. You'll probably post it back to me, I reckon. Yeah.
One can assume there's delays on the post. It's only working 3 days a week now. It must be something to do with the government, even though there was the fucking in control of Daniel Kretinsky now.
True. Anyway, that was fun. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, just it just shows you the level to which the UK press is just uniquely terrible. And as I mentioned before, but given the backgrounds of these people, like 52% of UK journalists went to private school, it's that the inbred nature of the UK press is down to our class system. It's down to the fact that these people live very privileged and gilded lives where not only do they never had any actual kind of personal hardship, but they've never been told that they are anything other than mummy and daddy's special little boys and girls. And so they've never had to be held to account over any of their failures. And because they don't feel like they need to be held to account, they never hold each other to account.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, why would they need to? If the only people watching you are people who also agree with you and are never going to call you out and you never call them out, then everyone's fine. It's a panopticon of lack of accountability.
It is. It's exactly, when Allegra Stratton was filmed at the Downing Street press room laughing about the fact that they were breaking lockdown rules, right? It was secretly filmed and she was kind of disgraced in the media, rightfully so, of course. And that meant that everybody knew within that kind of press pool that lockdown rules were being broken. She wasn't working for the press at the time. She was a press officer for Boris Johnson. But she was married to the political editor of The Telegraph and The Spectator, James Forsyth, who was the best man at Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer at the Times wedding.
Yeah.
And they all could have told literally anybody at any point in the time leading up to when Partygate broke that lockdown rules are being broken, and they didn't talk about it. It was never mentioned at all, because these people are protecting each other. And Allegra Stratton, right, she used to work for ITV, then she worked for the BBC, and then she was a Downing Street press secretary. She was working for the Prime Minister, like a ideological Prime Minister from the Conservative Party, working directly for him, having previously been a member of the Fearless Fourth Estate, right? Like, just bouncing around doing kind of musical journalists, walking between the political class and our journalist class and back again. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Just like the guy who was the political editor of The Independent, who is now a Labour MP for Rochdale.
Absolute madness, yeah. It's all a big party and you're not invited.
The Labour MP for Milton Keynes is somebody who was literally a pollster at Opinion. And he previously worked for the pollster YouGov, where he admitted that they had pulled a poll because it was too favourable to Jeremy Corbyn.
What a surprise! Unbelievable. The British establishment is just fucking rotten to the core.
It is absolutely rotten. I mean, the class system just needs complete obliteration,
Yeah, absolutely.
And it starts by closing the private schools. That's fundamentally where you have to start.
Oh,
the
yeah,
private schools need to be closed.
I've said I'd have eaten broken down and used as kitty litter. Yeah.
No, make it a holding centre for asylum seekers.
Okay. Although, to be fair, there are plenty of Russian-owned mega houses in London that could be used for that.
Also very true.
I hear Kensington's very nice. Anyhow,
make a change from them being sent to some like small seaside village in the northeast, rather than being kept, suspiciously clear of the London area.